Morning Guitar. Today we're moving on to page 41 in our text, and we're going to be looking specifically at this Prelude number 10, where we are going to be doing what is the start of a two-stroke pattern that is going to lead to eventually tremolo. Now, this is not necessarily tremolo, but it's getting us close to it. So since we're getting close to the tremolo, what we want to see here is that we're going to do consecutive motions of P, M, and I. So if I was just doing this in the air, it would be P, M, I, P, M, I, P, M, I, P, M, I. Now, we're reading what's called 6/8 time. And 6/8 means that we have 6/8 notes. That's actually quite the tempo there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the click on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the way that we count this is when we hear that higher click, that is the note with the down stem that you see in the staff right here. So that's what we would call the beat in this kind of meter. This is known as a compound meter, right? So we have, starting with the measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. Now, as you get used to this, eventually what I would do is just set a regular quarter note 4/4 on the metronome, and then just use each click as the strong beat, meaning counts 1 and counts 4 of the entire count of the measure. But for now, just so that we can play along nice and slow, I'm going to leave it in the 6/8 here. So every time you hear the higher click on counts 1 and counts 4, that's what we play with P, and the other ones is what we do with M and A. So the first way I would practice is P, M, I, P, M, I, and so on. Okay. So then at this point, what we want to see is that each measure is basically the same pattern. So we play 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 is the same thing that just happened. And then we get a new set of notes, and then a new set of notes, and then a new set of notes, so on and so forth. And if I read through this really briefly, I can see that that pattern changes only right here where we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 are different. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's only a couple places, 1, 2, 3 measures out of the whole thing where, 4 measures out of the whole thing. Oh, 5 actually. Measures where that changes. Otherwise, it's the same 3 notes again as we go. So the first thing we want to do is, again, of course, identify those notes. So we see P and C, E and C for those first notes. So our first measure is these 2 notes. And we're going to play those as P, M, I, P, M, I. Notice that I'm doing that as free stroke. The hand is coming up. Okay, and then the second set of notes, notice that it says F is going to be played with the 3rd finger. D is going to be played with the 4th finger, and I do the same pattern. Then I go to open D and B. And then I go back to that first set of notes of P and C. E and C. Then I got G and E. And on my second line, I have the notes A and F. So we can see it. Then we have G and E, F and D, and then I have E and C. I'm over at this part where I'm going to keep E with the second finger, and I'm going to use my fourth finger to play that high G. And then I lose the E and I go to open D. Last line here. So that F and that D situation that we played here would be the same fingering we saw at the beginning. F is using the third finger, D is using the fourth finger. And now I'm at this measure here with the D and the C. And on this last C, because we just did P, M, I, we're going to continue the alteration and hit that one with M. So the last measure looks like this. So I'm going to play through this now twice, now that we just kind of walked through the notes. You should pause the video, review all of those notes, make sure that you have the fingers down. Again, these are all open position notes. It's not really anything more complicated than anything we've ever done in any of the other classes. What's new here is the technique. So take the time to look at the technique and then start the video again, and then you can play along with me. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and set the metronome where we do hear the click for every single count. Okay, and then after I do a play like that, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it where we only hear the click on the strong beats. Okay, so for now, playing through. Prelude number 10. 1, 5, 6. So again, noticing there, PMI, PMI the whole way through, and it's always free stroke. The hand comes into the ball like that. Now, if you don't have this kind of metronome, just a regular metronome, if you go on Google, for example, and you set metronome, it's pretty much always going to have no accent marks, meaning it's just going to do a regular click. This is what a normal kind of metronome sounds like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this again with no accent marks. I'm going to set it at a lower tempo. What's going to happen here is every time we hear that click, let me set it at a little bit more reasonable tempo. So this is going to be faster. But now with the way that I'm counting this, actually, what if I did, difference here is that this is the strong beat number 1. This is the strong beat number 2. So the way I would count this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da da da, and so on and so forth. It's going to be a faster execution of those notes. So let me take this even just a little bit slower because I want you to play along with it. This is our goal for the fast tempo, okay? So the way I'd count this again is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, here I go. All right, so as per usual, stop the video, rewind, practice with the metronome on your own, work your way up to that tempo, start the video again, play along.